Welcome to Get a Word In, a podcast about content marketing. I'm your host, Adam Walker. I'm passionate about sharing stories and knowledge through content, especially in the form of podcasting. In fact, I co-founded Edgewise.media, a podcast-first marketing content agency. On this show, I interview content marketers at some of the top companies in the world and discover what's working for them, what isn't, and most importantly, what's next. So stay tuned and get ready for some great content about content marketing. Joining me on the show today is Ree Ruff from Lumino. Ree, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Adam.
I'm excited to talk to you because I know that your agency, Lumino, specializes in something that I don't think I've ever seen an agency specialize in before, which is Wikipedia sort of management. Unpack that for me for a minute before we dive into all this content marketing conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are quite unusual. There are definitely other firms out there who offer Wikipedia services. It's one of our main services. And the reason that we do it is because there are so many misconceptions about how Wikipedia works. So we found that clients really need someone. So clients have a lot of misconceptions about how Wikipedia works, and they need someone to just kind of take them by the hand, guide them through what the best practices are, how to actually approach Wikipedia properly. And that's what we do. We make sure that they don't get into trouble on Wikipedia. We're really much more of like a sort of advisory strategy type of service. We're not there, just going into Wikipedia and editing. That's not at all what we do. It's much more making sure that our clients have solid Wikipedia policies alongside their other social media policies and things. Do they know where to go if they need to make an update to their page? Do they know how to do all of that in a transparent, sustainable way so that they're not ending up getting blocked from the site? They're not causing themselves future problems as well as making any issues in the short term.
Yeah, because there are rules, right? About can a company edit the page that's about the company? There's sort of guidelines for that, and they can get into you could really get into some trouble with that, right?
Yeah, so there's two sides of things. Like everything out there on the internet, there are terms of use for Wikipedia.
Right.
So the terms of use say if you have any kind of financial connection to something that you want to edit about. So that could be your own company. That could be you actually want to edit your competitor's company page, something like that. You have to disclose. You have to say who you are. You have to fully disclose as well. You can't just be I'm here on behalf of this company and not give any further details. You have to say, are you an employee of that company? Are you working for a third party on behalf of that company? And what are their names? And you have to do that transparently. That's the terms of use for the site. And then what a lot of people don't realize is Wikipedia is a community building an encyclopedia. That's what it is. So the community themselves have their own guidelines around this too. They're the terms of use is great, but it's not enough. It doesn't do enough for what we want.
Okay.
So the community really feels because they really want this to be an independent, non-promotional encyclopedia, right? That's their goal. And they're very tied to that. So they have their own set of guidelines that says, if you're here on behalf of a company, not only do you have to disclose and tell us that, but you can't just go in and start editing any old page. If you have a connection to that page, if it benefits you in some way to edit that page, you have too much of a bias. You need to take a step back. You need to put together the changes that you want to have made, provide us with sourcing, and make a request to the community to make those changes. And then the community will see, does this fit with what we're trying to do here? Does this meet the guidelines? Is this appropriate to go into this page? And then they will make those updates.
Okay, I had no idea. That's really, really good to know. I'm glad I asked that question. Well, all right, so let's get into content marketing. And I know you're going to have a slant towards Wikipedia, which I'm very much looking forward to unpacking. So related to content marketing, what's working right now?
Oh my goodness. I'm not really plugged into the broader world of content marketing because I'm so much in my own little zone with it.
What's working in your zone right now? That's really what I want to know.
What's working in my zone is when an organization is taking every opportunity they can to make sure that the right information is out there about them. So their communications team and their marketing team are working together And they're doing things like updating their Forbes profile, making sure that like all of their online profiles are consistent, that they all have that correct information. And when they have a media opportunity, they're taking that chance to like mention things that they want to be out there in the public sphere. That's really important. A lot of companies are like, well, my number of employees is this, and I'd like this to be in, my Google Knowledge Graph, but it isn't appearing there. And they get real mad about it. And it's like, well, where is it going to come from? Where's it going to come from? Like, it can't just kind of like pop out of nowhere. If you're a public company, no one's going and scouring like all of those notifications that you have to send out, any of that stuff. Like, it has to be on some of like your online profiles. So when I see that, I think that's really great. Like, that's companies who are kind of being proactive about making sure the information's out there. Makes it a lot easier for updating across everything. Any of those user-generated sites, Wikipedia, Wikidata, any of like the sort of, online profile things like your Crunchbase, all of those can get updated a lot more easily.
All right, that's great. I had not thought of any of that stuff. So this is a very enlightening conversation already, very helpful. What's not working? Like content related, like what should people stop doing? If you could wave a magic wand, just say, stop. What would you tell them to stop?
I tell them to stop just putting out a press release and thinking that that's the end of it. Like, yes. I hear it all the time. I hear, well, we did a release about that. Like, and? What happened with that? Did you make sure that it got pick up somewhere? Did you follow up with a journalist and say, here's some information to add to that? Did you reach out to make sure that the people who'd be interested in this information have this? Did you break it down and put it into all the other places that it should be? Like, if this is hugely important to like your fan base, is this on like the social media platform that they're on? If you're trying to reach future employees, are you putting something out on LinkedIn? Like, this is all the stuff that I think it gets lost because you have teams who are focused on different things.
Right. Yeah. And what about like, not only that, right? Not only just people putting out the press release and then it sort of goes into the abyss of nothingness, but putting out press releases that aren't press releases. Like, that's the worst. Like, we don't need to know about this one little thing or this. I mean, it's crazy how many press releases companies put out about nothing.
Yeah. And it dilutes your actual message. Because when you do have something important to say, no one's watching anymore because they're like, well, the last 3 have just been about a small move within the company, which is like important for the person involved, but isn't like really telling like the bigger picture story of what that company needs to get out there.
Rule of thumb, if you cannot imagine a reporter writing a story about the press release, it's not a press release. Like, just to be clear. So, all right. Well, that's good. That's one of my soapboxes. You hit on it. Well done. That was great. You found it. Good job. So, all right. Let's talk about marketing channels. Now, I know Wikipedia is a big focus for you. Are there any other focused channels that you see working well?
I really think that LinkedIn is underused. It is undervalued for sure because you have such a plugged in group of people who are on there, people who are seeking to learn. They're out there, they're not just looking to sort of go and, shout their own thoughts, but they're actually trying to pick up information elsewhere. I think people are not using that enough. Engaging your executives, getting them to talk about what you're doing and getting that material out there.
No, I totally agree. I think it's, I mean, I underuse it for sure, but then I don't know. At this point, I just underuse everything. I'm just kind of went anti-social media for the last couple of years. So it just is what it is. So I'm working on it.
What's your challenge with LinkedIn? What makes you not want to do it?
My challenge is I don't think to log on and look at it. Like, that's really like, it's a top of mind thing. It just doesn't even occur to me. And so like every 4 or 5 days, like, oh, I haven't checked LinkedIn in a while. I guess I should go check. And then I'll like scroll through the feed and I'll find a couple of interesting things, but I think I need to do a better job of kind of culling my feed from things that don't matter and following things that do, so that it'll be more interesting, so that I want to go back there more often, because there's just a lot of noise in there for me right now. Though arguably a lot less noise than there is on Facebook, which is why I'm on Facebook like once a month as opposed to once a week. So, and I guess the other thing is like LinkedIn is not nearly as entertaining, right? Like Instagram is very entertaining. Reels is entertaining, even though Reels is kind of lags behind TikTok. TikTok is very entertaining. So it's different because I go to those to be entertained in down moments. Whereas LinkedIn isn't really entertaining. To your point, it's more educational. It's kind of almost more work related. So you have to kind of build it into like a work process, which I haven't done a good job of doing. So that was a very long answer to a very good question. So sorry about that.
No, I'm always curious about it because I think there are a lot of people who are like big LinkedIn fans. And then there are people who are just like, oh, I just don't think about it. And I always wonder, like, what is it that makes you not go there? So it's just kind of what you're looking for, I think. I find it really helpful. There's a lot of good stuff you can do with it.
I need to take the time to make it helpful, and then I will remember to go there. But I have not done a good job of that, I think. So I probably need to take the time to do that. All right, last question. If you could only focus on one thing for a whole year to grow your company related to content, what would you focus on?
Oh, video.
Okay, all right. Tell me more.
Well, this is my white whale right now because I'm super self-conscious about doing video. I have the millennial pause.
Yeah.
And I feel like a weirdo talking to myself. Like, I don't have that, like, I need to embrace, like, like, I need to pretend like I'm a Gen Z person and just be like, it's cool to talk to my phone. It's fine. It's totally normal.
Cool. Totally normal. Nothing weird.
Nothing weird about it.
Nothing to look at here in public. At Publix.
But yeah, I mean, the way that search is prioritizing video these days, and obviously social media at the moment, video is huge. Any of these algorithms are just grabbing hold of video. So I know it can make a big difference. We can be reaching more people if we do video, but it's one of those things where it's like, that's an uncomfortable zone.
It is. Yeah. Let's have some ideas about that. We'll talk off air about that, but I got some ideas for you. That might be helpful. So, all right. Well, that was fantastic. Let me recap our conversation here, and then let me know if you have any kind of additional thoughts or if I just get anything terribly, tragically wrong, which is entirely possible. So related to what's working, you said a company making sure the right information is out there about them, updating profiles, making sure things are consistent. You said companies taking media opportunities to put out the right information in the public, and then being proactive on sites like Wikipedia, Wikidata, Crunchbase, and so forth. For what's not working, you said stop putting out press releases and then just leaving them out there into the press release abyss. And we added to that, stop putting out press releases about things that aren't press releases. Come on, people. Like, let's be real about this stuff. For what channels are working, you said LinkedIn is underused and undervalued. The people there are plugged in and seeking to learn. I totally agree with that, even though I do still struggle with it myself, and I'm working on that. And for where would you focus? You said video. Search is prioritizing video. It's difficult, but it's really, I mean, even back to our conversation about LinkedIn, right? I'm consuming video on TikTok and on Reels far more than I'm consuming anything on LinkedIn. And if LinkedIn had more video component, I actually might do a little more LinkedIn. So video is king right now. We need to create more video. That's why we're capturing video here. It's going to be great. Did I miss anything in the summary?
No, I think you got it all. The only thing that I would add is if anyone's listening and they're like, oh, be proactive on Wikipedia. Sure, can do, will do, jump in. I would say take your time. Make sure that you're really reviewing those terms of use, the guidelines for conflict of interest. Worst thing you can do on Wikipedia is take a wrong step. If you don't know what you're doing, it's best just to stay out of it.
Yep. I think that's true on like every platform too. Like learn the platform before you go in and start doing a bunch of crazy stuff. Like you don't want to be that person. So that's great. All right, Ree, this was great. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to have you back on the show soon, and hope you have a good rest of your day.
Okay. Thanks so much for having me, Adam.
Thanks for listening to Get a Word In, brought to you by Edgewise.media, a podcast-first marketing content agency. To learn more about Edgewise, visit www.edgewise.media. I'm your host, Adam Walker. To connect with me, check out my blog at adamjwalker.com. Thanks for listening, and make sure to subscribe now so you don't miss our next great conversation about content marketing.